Good evening, everyone. These guys have done great, haven't they? I love this season of Advent. It's a season of preparing for Christmas. I wonder how many of you have got an Advent calendar? That's not many. How are you getting your chocolate? You know, I've been thinking about this. Sadly, I think Advent calendars are a thing of the past. Their days are numbered. Look, that is a classic dad joke. Advent is from a Latin word, adventus. It literally means the coming or arrival of something or someone. Advent is a really important season of anticipation and preparation in the lead up to Christmas. It's a season where we come, let us adore Him. And for us as a church here, we've been digging into some of the lines of that great carol and their foundation in the Bible. We've looked at very God, begotten, not created, the Immaculate Conception, Jesus born to a virgin, the divine meets humanity in an extraordinary way in Jesus. Born the King of Angels. We've read from the prophet Isaiah this evening. He writes of a king who reigns forever. Jesus did not become a king. He was always a king. He was born a king, and he's a king forever. This evening, Word of the Father now in flesh appearing. I want to share three elements of Advent with us this evening. The first is this. In Jesus, God has come to us. In Jesus, God has come to us. Not as a religious system, not as an interesting bit of theology, not as a political or nationalist movement. John chapter 1 and verse 14, the Word became flesh. In Jesus, God comes to us in the flesh. John chapter 1 is a very loud echo of the first chapter of the Bible. Genesis chapter 1, in the beginning, God created. And in the creation story, as God speaks a word, light comes into a dark world. Life comes as plants and living creatures and human beings are created. Order is brought out of chaos as God speaks a word. John tells us that Jesus is the Word. With God, fully God, the maker of all things. And then he writes this, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. It's an echo of the Genesis story. I wonder how many of you remember studying light? You know, maybe at physics or science. Do you remember doing that? You could shine light at things, and you could split light, and you can refract light, and you can reflect light. You might remember that light can behave as both a wave and a particle. That is the full extent of my knowledge of quantum mechanics. But you know, with light, you can't take hold of it, can you? You can't grab it. It is impersonal in that sense. Jesus comes along and says, I am the light of the world. Life. What is life? How would we know that we're living a good life, a meaningful life? Is the life that we're experiencing, is that all that there is? Is there more? Is there life after this life? Jesus comes along and says, I am the resurrection and the life. And then in John chapter 10 and verse 10, Jesus says that he has come that we may have an abundant life, life to the absolute full. Jesus is light and life in the flesh. So to be fully alive, to thrive rather than just survive, to be all that we were created to be, all that is possible in Jesus. That's the first element of Advent. The second element of Advent is captured in a short prayer that you find in the penultimate verse of the Bible. Simply this: "Come, Lord Jesus." In the season of Advent, we look forward to a second Advent, if you will, the time when Jesus returns. And friends, how we need that. Our world is pretty dark right now. We were coming out of a global pandemic and thinking, gosh, we're on the way up. No. We have war in Europe like probably many of us have never seen before. Refugee crises, cost of living stuff, all of that kind of thing. Our world has so much pain and darkness. But the Bible assures us that when Jesus returns, there will be no more tears. There will be no more crying, no more death, no more pain, because Jesus is making all things new again. And so we find ourselves between these two great Advent events. God has come, and come, Lord Jesus. God has come, and come, Lord Jesus. And so my question for us this evening is, how do we best live between those two Advents? Every other religion or philosophy says that we need to work our way up to God. We need to earn the favor of God or the gods. We need to find karma in this life. We need to be a better person. The Christmas Christian story is stunningly different. John chapter 1 and verse 14 again. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. He came to us. The Message version of that verse says this: the Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. And I love that idea. It's like Jesus has moved in next door, knowable, personal. So the third element of Advent can be expressed as a short prayer. Jesus, come to me. Jesus, come to me. There's a Christian author and speaker called Ben Lindsay. He wrote this recently. He said, "I marvel that the finite, people like you and me, can know the infinite." That is the wonder of Christmas, friends, that the finite can know the infinite. We can know the infinite light and life of the universe personally, intimately. For Bethan and I, we have new neighbors about to move into the house next door to us. And as I was thinking about that, I guess there are a number of options open to us. One is, we could tell them that they're not welcome. Go away. I mean, it's not one we're seriously considering, but it is an option. We could just ignore them. Just behave like nothing has happened next door. Just ignore that they've moved in. We could just occasionally say hello to them, maybe once a year, just when it's convenient to us. Or we could welcome them and share our lives with them, be open to them. In Jesus, God has come to us. It's like he's moved in next door. So the question then is, how are we going to respond to that? What are we going to do with that? So will we just ignore him? Like, no, you're not welcome here? Will we occasionally say hello, maybe once a year? Or maybe we'll just pray when we need something? Or will we do life with Jesus? Open our lives to him. For myself, I've been a follower of Jesus, a Christian, for a bit over 40 years now. And one of the things that I find most precious about that is that I'm never alone. That whether I'm going through good things or bad things in my life, there is always somebody with me. We had a Compassion Project Storehouse Christmas party yesterday. And I was talking to some of the team that were praying with some of our clients. And they weren't sharing any details, but they were just saying, my goodness, there's a lot of hard stuff out there right now. And we were just sharing together, I wouldn't want to do that without Jesus. And that has been my experience. Just the embodiment of John chapter 1 and verse 14. Jesus has moved in next door. And we can welcome him into our lives and share our lives with him. So the invitation of Advent and Christmas, indeed every day, is to come, let us adore him. So we thank God that in Jesus he has come to us. We look forward with expectation, that prayer, come, Lord Jesus, come and make everything new again. And in the present, we welcome Jesus into our lives. We adore the one who has chosen to come close to us. So what we're going to do, Ash and the team are going to lead us in a song where we can just take some moments, and I'd love to invite you to do that, just to take some moments to reflect on what we're celebrating today. That God in Jesus has come to us, and that we're praying, come, Lord Jesus, and we can welcome him into our lives. So we're going to stay sat down for this, but you're welcome to join in.